Hello, hello, hello. Two more hands to review. So both of these hands will have me raising, making a two bet, and then calling a pre-flop three bet. So our first hand, 6-7 diamonds on the button. We're at a 25 NL table. So we have one limper in the low jack. I raise three big blinds. The big blind three bets, and then the limper folds. So I'm not a huge fan of my three big bet raise. I probably should have raised to four big blinds. Just make it a little bit larger, make it less likely to draw a raise. But big blind did raise. So what is he raising with? Well, usually most of the raises, three bets are going to happen, fairly tight, a fairly tight range. And you have to consider that there's a limper and then I raise. This is with a limper, it's not a typical steal spot. So I think when he makes this three bet, it's going to be somewhat tight. We have 29 hands on him. He's 17-10. His three bet to steal is zero, so he's probably playing pretty truthful for his raise. So let's give him a raise of jacks plus, ace jack suited, ace queen, ace king, and maybe king queen suited. That's about almost 5% of hands. I think that's probably a pretty decent guess. Maybe a little tight. Kind of depends on this player, but I think this is a good starting place. Now, against that range, I am not doing very well. My equity of the hand is 33%, and really what I should be doing is folding, because I'm going to be folding with, uh, you know, or if I call, I'm going to definitely be behind his range. And why would I call? My thought, I'm sure my thinking here was that I raised here again, and I get raised by a tight player. And out of three times that he could have c-bet the flop, he didn't. So I'm probably thinking not only do I have position, but I'm also up against a player that probably doesn't three bet a whole lot. Doesn't c-bet a whole lot unless he hits the flop. So I'm thinking if I could avoid broadways, I may be able to win the pot and take it away from him. So flop comes down, ace of diamonds, queen of hearts, eight of hearts. This is absolutely horrible for my range, but this is going to hit his range extremely hard, which is going to make me way behind. Basically, I have a backdoor flush, and I have a backdoor straight draw, but none of it is too good. So, see, eight of diamonds, queen of hearts, eight of hearts, and I'm probably down to less than 20%. Even worse, equity of my hand under 10%. That's not good at all. So let's see what he does. Well, he checks, not surprising here. And now this is my opportunity to go through with a bet to try to take down the pot. Now, what is he going to check here, or what would he c-bet? So I'm going to say, based on what he's doing, he's probably going to c-bet top pair plus. He would probably his pocket pair below top pair, I think he'd check. All of his middle pairs, his draws, he would probably check. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's c-betting very frequently, and at least once he should have done that. So let's take those out of his range and say, okay, he's going to check 66% of the time. I bet. I'm sorry. He was betting these, so we need to take those out. That means he has all of these hands, all his draws, checking 38% of the time. So now I follow with a bet of 14.8 big blinds. So that is maybe like 2/3 pot, and he calls. Now, if I bet and he calls, what do I think he's going to call with? Well, I think he's going to call with basically all of his pocket pairs. So he's got 37.8% in his range. I think he's going to call with all pocket pairs. His draws, we'll include his 2-card backdoor draws there. Which is basically his entire range. So that's, I guess right now it's a surprise that it would be his entire range because he has draws and weaker pocket pairs. But what happens on the turn card? Well, I think on the turn card, if it comes a heart, I think and I bet again, I think he's going to fold out the weak pair and the middle pair, possibly even the pocket pair below top pair. The only hands I'm really afraid of is that 11% of hands or 12% of hands where he actually has the flush himself. So 6 of heart comes. I consider that gin card for me. Yeah, it doesn't really help my range, but at this point, I'm kind of expecting that as a tight player, if he doesn't have the heart, he might go about folding. So he checks to me, and I completely miss it. I completely miss my bet. So here at this point, I think if I bet, he is folding everything. He second nut flush. I don't know. I think he's folding everything. So he's only continuing with 12%. This is like an auto profit spot. I should bet pot and see what he does, but instead I didn't. So we get to see a river. River is jack of clubs. Again, at this point, since I missed that bet, I'm just going to have to give up on the hand. And he checks. Now, at this point, with all of his range, once I check the turn, what do we think he's going to bet? Well, I kind of think he's going to bet his flush. I think he's going to bet his sets to try to get, paid by it. Unless he's being tricky and is just slowing and going to let me bet the hand for him. But this pocket pair below top pair, kings maybe, and maybe even the middle pair. I think that those are hands that he could conceivably just check at this point and hope for a showdown. And against that range, again, I can't beat it no matter what, because all I have is that 6. So we get the showdown. He shows pocket kings. Was that in his range at this point? Yep, it's right there, pocket kings. Now, if I bet the river at this point after checking the turn, I do think he's going to call. I think the only way I could get him off is if I overbet the pot, and even then, he may still be stubborn enough to say, hey, let me see the hand. So on this hand, I had a game plan. My plan was see the flop and try to take it away from him if the flop seems to miss his presumably wide range, which it hit, but it gave me I think the hearts gave me a way to win the pot. So I fired that flop bet as I should. I would do that with all of my heart draws. The flush gets there. He checks. I should have bet again. And again, even then, I'm betting the flush, but I did pick up a little bit of equity with my 6. I could pick up a 7 now to get 2 pair. I could pick up another 6 for trips to win it. So I should have fired again. With him having the king of hearts, I think he may have folded. He may have called. If he calls on the turn, I doubt he's going to call a river bet. But that brings up an interesting point because what am I going to have to bet on the turn? If I bet the turn, a pot-sized bet's only going to leave me like 30 big blinds. That's not going to be big enough to get a fold on the river. So perhaps on the turn, I should have sized it at about, let's say, half pot, so give 25. And then that gives me about a half pot bet on the river at that point to try to maximize, or increase the number of chances that my opponent can fold. All right, so that is hand number 1. Let me pause and get hand number 2. All right, hand number 2 comes from a 5NL table. I am dealt pocket 4s. On the button, we have a poster, so a cutoff poster. He checks. I raise, which I think is fine. Open raise pocket pair. I'm trying to win the pot, and I have position throughout the hand. Big blind raises me, and the limper folds. All right, so a big blind. What is the big blind going to be raising with? Well, it's important to note that unlike the previous hand where we had a limper in this spot, this was a dead blind. They just checked, so you can kind of ignore it in the sense that my raise could still be viewed as a steal, at least by a thinking player. Is this a thinking player? Maybe. His stats look decent. VPIP 26, maybe a little loose. Preflop raise 13, so he's missing spots where he could be aggressive. He's seeing hands when he should. But a 3-bet is at 6%, so he's going to be 3-betting quite a lot. Now the question is, where is he doing his 3-betting? So let's take a look at 3-bet pie position. You can see that all of his 3-bets are coming from the blinds. So he's probably defending his steal, or defending against the steal. So the question is, what's his range? Well, I think with his range, we're going to have to include all of the pockets. I think he would probably defend his steal with all the pockets. He would probably defend all of his steals with the aces, maybe something like that. Probably suited broadways. Against a steal, he could probably also do the offsuit broadways. Maybe add ace-9 offsuit. Now we have to remember that his 3-bet steal is at 27%, 3 out of 27, and all of those happened this session, so 60%. So he's going to be doing it with a wide range. So let's add these aces, all suited aces. Let's add suited connectors, suited one-gappers. I think maybe something like that. We could add even more. And maybe the king. I mean, based on this player, he's probably doing suited kings. And if he's going to do suited kings, he's probably doing all of the aces and the offsuit broadways. So something like that, 35.7%. That's a really wide range. With pocket 4s, I am going to be ahead most of his range, but I'm not going to be ahead by a lot. So equity of my hands, 50% versus about, so it's a coin flip. Now, what should I do with this? Comes back to me. I am in position. He is wide. We do have a slight equity edge, and when you figure in position, we should have a slightly bigger equity edge. So what should we do? How should we handle this? Raising from the button and then being raised by the blinds. Well, I think if you think he's going to be wide, like I do, I think it's okay to call. If you think he's going to have a tighter 3-betting range against a steal, then I think you can go ahead and just fold this. Maybe only call down to 6s or 7s. I went ahead and called because I think he has a much wider range, and I'm hoping that I can take it with position. So the flop is Jack-Jack 3. That actually, with 2 jacks on the board, that's gonna really block a lot of these jack hands. And the 3 only hits him with ace 3, king 3, 5, 3, 4, 3 suited, pocket 3s. I'm gonna have I should have decent equity because I think this is gonna miss him. But at the same time, he is going to have backdoor draws. He's going to have flush draws. So we have to be aware that he's going to be able to call a lot. Now, since I didn't 4-bet, you can kind of exclude aces and kings, ace king, probably ace queen. So let's see what happens here. So he bets. Is that a surprise? He c-bet 75%, 6 out of 8 times. Let's see on the flop. C-bet's out of position 67%. So I think he's going to be somewhat. I don't think he's going to be doing this just as a bluff unless he thinks this completely misses me, which I could have a jack. It could be in my range, but also with 2 jacks being out there, there's only 2 jacks left in the deck. So what do I think he's going to bet with? We're going to say he's going to bet all of his pairs, weak pair up. He's going to bet his flush draws. We'll say his 2-card flush draws. His overcards are those. We'll leave those in as bluffs. Doesn't have any open-ended straight draws or gut shots. What about ace-high hands? Maybe ace. Let's see here. We will clear all. Maybe ace-10. Might do that with. He might bet that with. Maybe ace-2, ace-4, ace-5 as kind of like backdoor straight possibilities. That gets us to 83.6. Maybe it's a little bit too much, but we'll leave those in there right now. Now the question is, what should I do? Should I call? Should I fold? Should I even raise? Well, if I raise, what hands do I think he's going to call with? So right now we're at 83.6%. So with 83.6%, he's if I bet, if I raise here, I think he's going to dump his ace-high hands. I think he's probably going to, let me write this down, 83.6. So he's going to dump his ace-high hands. His weak pair, pocket twos, yeah, I think he'll dump that. I think he'll call his middle pair, pocket pair. His overpair will likely call. 3 of a kind might 4-bet here. So we'll leave it in. Same thing. Full house might just call. Quads is definitely just calling. His flush draws, he's going to probably call all of those. I think he's going to dump his overcards. His 2-card backdoor flushes, he's probably going to fold. So I have more of a continuance range of 37.1% now. So if he's going to continue 37.1% out of the 83.6% that he had, what is that? What is he calling? What percent is he calling? So 37.1 divided by 83.6. He is going to continue 44% of the time, which means he's going to be folding 56% of the time. And we can plan ahead and say, okay, if he folds, if he does call on the turn, what are we hoping will come? Well, I think anything in the middle, maybe even ace or a king or a queen is going to be favorable. Obviously, less of an ace, because I think you can have the ace of clubs, flush draw, and then he'll be inclined to call. But king, queen, 10, 9, 8, 7 would allow us to bet again and possibly pick up even more folds. So let's add these back. 83.6. I lost my filters. So let's clear those. Well, let's just delete. So we said ace 2, 4, 5. We're going to take out 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll leave 10 queen king. So 9, 8, 7, and 6. All right. Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. That was 67.7. So we had what 31 and 67. So he's continuing, 67% of the time, folding 33%, approximately. I can't remember what. Oh yeah, it was 37. There it is. So we'll do 37.1 divided by the 67.7% that he continues with. So he continues 54. He's going to fold 46. Still possibility. Well, that's not what I wanted to see. But you can see that I called instead of raising, and I actually don't like that call. I'm sure I was thinking if the club comes, then I may be able to make a play at it. But you can see if the club comes and he checks, I can bet and win it. At this point, king comes. He bets, and at this point, what do I think he's going to be betting with? I think with that king, we can do away with all of our ace highs. I think the two card is no. Whoops. All of the ace highs. Let's do king of diamonds. All right. So at this point, he's gonna probably continue betting quads, full house, straight. Yeah, probably three of a kind. I think his overpaired now is aces. He's gonna still bet. Top pair is the king. He might continue betting that. And he does have to be concerned that I just called with the jack, but if I have a jack, why wouldn't I raise? So maybe he's going to bet again with the top pair with the plan that if I raise, he's just going to dump it because I likely have the jack. Pocket pair below top pair, I don't think he's betting. Weak pair, I don't think he's continuing to bet. Flush draws and gut shots. Maybe he bets those. It just kind of depends on how aggressive he is. And at 13% pre-flop raise, 6% 3-bets, he may be aggressive. And I don't have any comments on there. So what we'll do is we'll leave those in there. I called, which I think was a horrible call on my part. Because again, once I called, look at how much is left. Not even a half size bet. 8 of diamonds comes out, and he's gonna bet, and it comes to me. Again, he's showed that he likes this flop, and unless he's a habitual better bluffer, that I'm behind. I can't possibly beat him. So let's see what his C bets are. So on the flop, he C bets 75% of the time. On the turn, he C bets 100% of the time. On the river, I don't have any C bets. This will be the first time that he C bets. So, I mean, yeah, I think he is. It was looking like he was aggressive, and that may have factored into some of my reasoning why I call here, which I think I shouldn't have. But, if I think he's super aggressive, then he may have more hands in his range. He could be pushing all of these weak pair pocket pairs and possibly even ace highs just to blow us off. Probably not, but again, some people are crazy. And then on the river, he would be betting all of these, and as you can see, I can't even beat. I mean, his weak pairs include pocket twos. We folded those. I mean, what do we beat? Ace high hands, no made hands. So I think by the time we get there, Queen Jack is going to still be in his range. We started there, so I think it was kind of successful in terms of our reads. Now we still struggle on what parts of his range may be a raise and which may be just a check and possibly even a check call. But I do think we had most of the read on him to say, yeah, Jack is clearly in his range. A king is going to clearly be in his range. He exhibited interest in the pot with continuous bets. and not even small bets. Half pot bet. He went even larger, so a little bit more than 2/3 size bet, uh, and then he just shoved all in, which less than half, but that's all in. So he wants to play for stacks. I should have recognized this. I should have folded. All right, so that's hand number 2. Look in tomorrow for another set of hands.